Well, the clock says 7, so ladies and gentlemen, if we can make a start. The drill, if there is an emergency such as a fire, is at the exit, it's right there where you came in. And I would like to welcome, as we start, Councillor Michellet, because this is his first full meeting.
Thank you.
It's good to see Councillor Nightingale back to almost 100%, I think. And also to welcome Councillors Searle and Councillor North, who will be helping us when we discuss later on the question of Speedwatch. Having said that, there are some apologies for absence, I think.
Yes. Mr. Chairman, we've got apologies from Councillors Page, Councillor Matthew Scott, Councillor Messenger from TDC, Councillor Banbridge from TDC, and Laura Bungard.
Okay, thank you. So we have a bunch of minutes to receive and approve. There are 3 sets of minutes for Council. There is the extraordinary meeting held on the 1st of October. The extraordinary meeting held immediately after that, which was the selection process for co-option, and then the minutes of the council meeting on the 2nd of October, which is Appendix C to your papers. Has anybody any comments on those, or would somebody like to propose we receive and approve them? Councillor O'Connor proposes, Councillor Cornford seconds. All those in favour? Thank you.
Sorry, I've got my hand up over
Oh, I'm sorry.
a query. On the councillors' reports, another resident reported at the traffic lights on the junction of Minster Road and St Mildred's Road that any pedestrian crossing from Minster Road in the direction of St Mildred's Road, it should be in the direction of crossing from the Canterbury Road to the Canterbury Road. Sorry, no problem.
How was that like? We'll get it right. Were there any abstentions? Were those opposed? We then have item appendices D and E. Firstly, let's take the minutes of the Finance and General Purposes Committee of the 18th of September. Can we receive those? Yes. More proposed, please. Councillor Ross, thank you. Councillor, in favour? Thank you. Same for the Events and Tourism Committee dated 26th of September. Good. All those in favour? Yeah, thank you. Members interested? Any member got any interest to disclose on the items on the agenda?
The planning item on the addendum.
Yeah.
The planning item on the addendum.
Oh, I see. Okay, thank you. Item 4, to the clerk. I don't know if we have a report on the community board.
Yes, thank you, Chairman, we do. Okay, Laura sent her apologies tonight, but she's sent a report for us all. She said, quite a few potholes this month, all reported to Kent County Council, filled in a timely manner. Block drains have been reported, but not dealt with as quickly as I would like. However, I do understand that this is not dealt with in the same way, and it's often difficult to get to the drain when there are cars often parked over them. So KCC are asking if we can speak to residents and raise that issue with them, make sure that they're aware if the drains are going to be cleared, they do need to get the vehicles off the road. Un-MOT vehicles continue to be a problem. The reports are sent through to Kent Police, and unfortunately she's got no way of knowing whether these residents who, and I have no way of knowing whether these residents who own the vehicle, so in other words she doesn't know who owns the vehicles. I continue to monitor these vehicles, particularly if they stay in the same position on the highway. The vehicle that has not been damaged, perhaps a car re-ended it in Essex Road, is taxed and MOT, so it's perfectly legal at this time. My concerns for retired elderly not having fully functioning central heating due to old boilers is very much at the forefront this time of year. And there's a scheme called Kent and Medway Warm Homes. It is a partnership scheme between Kent County Council and other district councils and agencies. And it is Laura's hope to speak to residents and putting information in the halls and coffee shops that they frequent to let residents know that they can get grants and help if they're eligible. There's a house in Westgate that's being used by people from other areas, not in Thanet, as a base for selling drugs. This has been reported to the council and Kent Police and DVLA, as there are 6 cars being used to possibly deliver drugs as well, 3 of which are untaxed. This does cause concern and nuisance to the residents near this property, and as the night-time comings and goings, possibly involved in buying drugs from these individuals, is not to be tolerated. I advise residents report everything to Kent Police and the TDC as and when they have concerns and issues. She continues as a service to visit residents who are elderly, vulnerable and suffer mental health or drink and use drug problems. They have been signposted to us by social services. We also work closely with our partners' training standards to identify victims of scams and advise residents where needed. She's always out and about. If you don't see her and you'd like to contact her, she's available on her mobile number, or you can email her, and all those information is on our website. Also, you can alternatively pop a note into the library, and if she's off duty, she'll pick that message up when she next frequents the library. Also, there is some information she's given me which is to do with the Kent and Medway Warm Homes referral process, so if there is any resident that wants to have that information, we'll have that in the office available. And she also wanted to bring to our attention there's the Thanet Over 50s Forum on Tuesday the 20th of November, 10:30am to 12:30pm, and the guest speakers are going to be Chief Inspector of Thanet Police, Sharon Hadley, talking about her career in the police force, and Laura Probert, local historian and author of Women of Kent Running to the Cause, and that's at the Custom House, Harbour Parade, Ramsgate. Everybody welcome. Thank you.
Very much. Do we have under item 5 any reports from the county or Thanet district councils?
No reports, Jim.
I know councillors have noticed before the absence of our councillors from TDC and KCC. It is regrettable if they can't come. I understand they have a busy schedule, but all the same, I think it would be helpful for coordination if they could. Yeah.
Just to add to that, Jim, they've got an extraordinary meeting this evening, they tell me.
Okay.
Chair, but we've only got one agenda on that. There's only one agenda item, so it should take about 10 minutes.
Ah, okay.
I don't think it is.
Yeah.
The public right to speak, is anyone else got the floor?
No, Jim.
Good. That brings us to item 7, the Chairman's report. On the 18th of October, I attended the AGM of the Thanet Area Committee, and was confirmed as representative for the Joint Transportation Board. And the draft minutes of the meeting are available from the clerk. A week later, the Town and Parish Forum met with the leader and chief executive of TDC, and we put forward our ideas for improving the effectiveness of the forum. These include consultation of the forum upstream in relation to development plans and other proposals, discussion at the forum of key issues in the area, for instance, health services or Operation Stack, the systematic use of service agreements where TDC and town councils are working in coordination, the participation of KCC at the meetings, the attendance of town and parish councils at neighbourhood engagement meetings, the participation of KCC at forum meetings and a change in the meeting time to allow those with children to attend more easily. TDC will now consider these proposals before the next meeting and have nominated a councillor, Councillor Rogers, to improve links with town and parish councils. We do just, I think, have actually the minutes of that meeting. At our last meeting, I mentioned the lack of response from Whitehall in response to our application for funding to support the renovation of the iron shop canopies in Station Road. I have now written to Sir Roger Gale to bring this to his attention in the hope that he can intervene with the Secretary of State responsible. And I have in fact had quite a rapid response from Sir Roger in which he has taken the issue up with the Minister responsible and suggested that in future we involve him earlier in submissions going to Whitehall so that he can support our cause. However, the coastal community team met last week and decided to go ahead with the project, if necessary without government funding, and will seek detailed proposals from a surveyor so we can draw up a more detailed idea of cost. On the 23rd of October, together with Councillor Micallef and the Clerk, I met with Paula Harbridge and Preston Foss of TDC to discuss ways in which Westgate could figure more prominently in TDC's promotion of Thanet. Several ideas were put forward, including, I'm sure you'll be delighted to know, the idea of Viking ship races along the Thanet coast, and developing Westgate's input to the Turner Prize programme from October 2019. And we have received already some ideas that Visit Thanet will be able to give some more prominence to Westgate on its website. On the 31st of October, together with the Clerk, I had a meeting with Inspector Connor about the issues affecting Westgate, such as road traders, financial scams, traffic issues and speed watch. And last but not least, on the 2nd of November, I had the honour of participating in the ceremony to unveil the memorial to the World War I fallen from Westgate at the Livington Road Recreation Ground. I'm happy to report that several councillors attended, as the cooperation with the Heritage Centre is key to what we seek to achieve in Westgate, and that's all I have to report today. Any questions? Councillor King.
Two, please, Chairman. You mentioned the surveyor's cost for the coastal communities for his surveyors. Are we engaging surveyors?
We are going to seek the detailed quote from people who might be able to give us such a quote. Obviously, if there is a cost, then that will have to go through the normal procedures.
Well, I mean, you did mention surveyors.
Well, it would need to be a surveyor to look at what's required.
Okay. The other one is regarding Visit Thanet. I've noticed for some time now, I mean, we've been around Town Council for 3.5 years now, and the signs in both West Bay and St Mildred's Bay were completely omitted from them. It's got Margate, Ramsgate, Broadstairs, and there's not a mention of Westgate on them. So I think those signs ought to be revisited, and I think it should be clearly signed that you are in St Mildred's Bay and Westgate on the sea. Because we're the only ones at the moment.
Thank you. It's a good point. I do note, I mean, I think there are various sites of interest pointed up on those boards, but it's true that we ought to have rather more visibility on those boards, and we take that up as necessary. Thank you. Yes, Councillor Scott.
I'd just like to say thank you to the Chairman for such a detailed report and the fact that you've done so much over the past month. You've met with various people and moved everything forward so quickly in your short space of time being the chairman, that the town council is now moving forward leaps and bounds. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much. And we have had lots of ideas in the last 3 years, but it's important that we keep track of all these initiatives, I think, and try and push them forward. Thank you. Yes.
Can I ask if anything's come of the proposed meeting between yourself and Clark and I think Councillor King with Mrs. Popper, what is it, with the heritage people or the heritage? Is there anything come of that meeting?
Yes. We asked them for a meeting, Clark asked them for a meeting. They asked for an explanation of what we intended to raise at the meeting. So we did send a message which, of course, referred to the motion that the council had passed and explained a bit of the background of why we had passed that motion. So it is clear to Margate Civic Society that we are asking them to refrain from criticism in future in their magazine in the way that it's taken place in the past.
So you're not going to have a meeting?
Oh yes, yes.
You want a meeting?
I was just going to add that they said it has to be discussed at committee, so we're waiting to hear back from committee
What, before you can have a meeting?
before they let us know what their progress is with it. Yeah.
Yes, Councillor.
I mean, I think the answer you've got back from them, I think, is they know very well what their situation is. It's been explained to them more than once. Because when I was last speaking to Pamela Popplewell, and I visited them twice, tried to resolve this in a very quiet way, without making any waves, don't want to having disputes with them down there. But they know full well what the situation is. They run a newsletter down there, and it is being used for political ends to attack this council, and has been doing it for the last 3.5 years. Now, under their terms as a registered charity, they must not indulge in any kind of political activity. Now, I've asked the chairman down there to withdraw the offending criticisms that are plastered all over their website, like serial. And to my knowledge, when I last looked recently, they're still there. These articles have got to be taken down. They are a registered charity and they are in contravention of their own charitable status. They can't do politics. If it's good enough for Amnesty International, who deregistered because they've started taking up political lobbying, then I'm sure it's good enough for the Margate Civic Society. So for them to say they want to know what it's about and go to committee is completely disingenuous.
We made it clear what the wording was of the motion that we had passed and why we had passed it. I don't think now we can achieve much by revisiting that debate, but we have done what was required. We have requested a meeting. A meeting is to be set up. I understand that they want to talk about it internally before they meet up with us. But I can assure you we won't let the matter rest. I'm as anxious as you are, Councillor King, to get this thing sorted. Thank you. Can we move on then to the finance reports? We have the bank reconciliations for September, the finance report for the budget versus expenditure up to the end of September, and the forecast report, which is the budget forecast report, up to the 30th of September, and the grants and donations report up to the end of September, attached as appendices F, G, H and I. I'm sure you've all been reading these avidly over the last few days. I don't know if you've got any questions. Yes, Councillor.
With the bank reconciliation for September, I noticed that I'm reading down here, but my understanding of what I have seen from other town councils is that the spend in the month should be shown quite clearly, itemised and shown what has been purchased, what's been spent, what's in, what's out, VAT, final total. Most of the ones that I've been to uptown councils, I've sat in and watched their meetings and got their papers, and they are so clear. But these, like this one we've got here with bank reconciliation, it's a massive figures, but it doesn't actually tell us what we've been spending in specific detail. I mean, if we bought a box of nails, or if we bought some paint or something, or we bought a bit of equipment, this should be itemised down clearly so that we know what we are spending month to month.
That's certainly something I can discuss with Councillor O'Connor, and we can actually work on if that's what you prefer. I thought these were quite clear, but if that's, you prefer more detailed drilling down, then certainly we can do that for you. It's not a problem.
Well, I think we need a detailed spend. I mean, whatever money's going out, we need to know what it's been spent on. So, in clear terms. I mean, you only need 4 columns, really.
An expenditure on a monthly basis, if I understand.
Well, that's the idea, isn't it?
Councillor O'Connor.
Yes. When these reports were asked, it was asked if anybody preferred anything else. It was told they wanted to have a forecast report. So if somebody wants to have the transaction report for each month, that is not a problem. You just need to request it and we can put it off.
Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Chair. Looking on the reconciliation report September, I'm still seeing that £74,000 is in £88,000, sorry, is still in a deposit account.
Yeah.
Is there a reason why it's gone on for like a year?
No, that's the deposit account, not the current account. So we've separated now.
Sorry, I meant the
Yeah.
current account, 74,000.
Yeah, that's because actually the deposit account has the reserves in there now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
what
we
about the current account? Why is that £74,000 that's sitting there?
because that's all what we're spending. That's all the money that we're actually allocating for this year. At the moment, obviously, each month, if we have anything left over, we can transfer that into the deposit account. But that's what we've got running for the rest of the year.
Can I ask Councillor O'Connor to explain?
That's actually because the second half of the precept came through in the end of September, which is to last through the rest of the year. So it literally has just hit it. So as you can have a look at the cash book receipts, you can see 66,000 hit the account that month.
Doesn't explain why it's not doesn't explain really why it's still just stuck in the current account. You don't need that you might need it for the year, but you don't have to leave it in a non-interest account, do you?
Yes, can I maybe like Councillor O'Connor to explain on what
Yes,
on
that's
what
the same.
basis we normally transfer funds into the deposit account and what the notice requires?
Well, up until last month, we didn't have online banking, which we now have. And the first thing we did was transfer the surplus of last year and the reserves went into the deposit account, which we can hold. This is the running cost, so it's the expenditure, income and expenditure, which is related to this year. We can do a sweep if it's necessary. It came in the last minute. We haven't had an opportunity to do a sweep. But if the council prefers it to be swept in and out every month, that's not a problem. We can sweep it in and out and do it for covering expenses as they come through.
Thank you.
Would you like that report up at the Finance and General Purpose meeting to discuss whether that should be done or not?
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Well, thank you for those comments. Can we propose to receive?
Are you going to go through the A, B and C, or you can take these on board?
I was going to vote A, B, C and D together.
All right, because I have a few queries on the expenditure budget.
Okay, go ahead.
It's at line 6,000, the vehicle expenses shows £1,384.60. This includes vehicle insurance, MOT, tax, repairs and fuel. Again, these should be itemised. It's just being lumped in together. We don't know what's what. I mean, what's the MOT, as the truck been MOT? Because it was quite high in contention at one time. Repairs. What's the details? You can't find them if you're just going to put them in one line and lump the lot of them together.
Well, I think if every transaction was presented on this report, it would run to hundreds of pages. I'm sure that the information is available and can be provided.
But we're entitled to know what the money was spent on.
Yes, I know.
Well,
What I'm saying is if you have a question on a particular item, then I'm sure we can give you the detail, but it would be...
well,
arduous.
I've asked. You've got vehicle insurance, MOT. How much did the MOT cost? How much did the repairs? What were the repairs? How much did they cost?
Well, I'm sure we can give you
How
that
much it
information.
cost? We know it's been lumped in 1,384.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can give you that information.
But it should be presented. This is when I come back to the first one about organising the monthly. It's the same basis. There's no point in presenting these figures if nobody knows what they are. I mean, if you look at I've got to say this, Chairman, if you look at these figures, they're almost obliterated. Some of those figures are not readable. So how do we actually read these figures when a good many of them, have a look at them, they're obliterated. You can't even read them.
Well, as I say, I think that these tables need to present a balance between giving you an overall view of what is happening and informing you about the detail. This return is intended to show how the budget is doing against expenditure. It is not intended to show the detail of each transaction, and I think it does that. It's already quite small, quite a detailed table, and as I've already explained to you, if you wish to have more details on a particular line, we can give it to you. Councillor O'Connor.
This report was presented at the Finance and General Purpose Committee before it's come to full council, as it will always be before it comes to full council. If people wanted details prior to this meeting, we could have easily brought them to it. So if it was brought up at the Finance and General Purpose Committee and asked for details, we provided those details of what's behind the lines. It's a summary here for the Finance and General Purposes to go through, the detailed report. But it can be provided. But obviously, we're sitting in a room here without computers, but if I had a computer, I could go on the computer and I could actually tell you exactly what was in those lines.
So, because what I'm looking for, because what was mentioned at previous meetings, and again, there's no sign of it anywhere here, is that the truck received £500 worth of service. There's nothing here about £500 worth of service.
Well, as I've already explained, we will send you the details of expenditure and turnover on that line. That's what you're asking for. That's what I said we will give you.
It was just a quick point to suggest that as Councillor King is the chair of Finance and General Purpose Committee, then he is in control of perhaps suggesting that these reports could have more detail, and perhaps could have suggested them years ago when he was chair as well.
I can only report back, Chairman, on what is put before us. I know that there's been a claim that truck, which it was a bone of contention as whether we keep it or whether we didn't, was sent for a service that cost £500. There's no relevant, there's no paper trail here to say where, we don't, I mean, we're told it went to Herne Bay. Why would we want to send the truck out of Thanet to Herne Bay for a £500 service? Do you know what?
Well,
Chairman, I've had loads of bills, we all get bills, right? And I can't remember the last bill that I got finished up in 2 zeros.
Well, sorry, nothing to do with this debate.
Oh, I think it is, yeah.
Can we move
Think
on?
about it.
okay, so we will send Councillor Key the details of all the expenditure incurred on that night.
Yeah.
And maybe we can discuss it.
And perhaps the miniature sheets that were being given to pass off here could actually be elevated to something we can read.
Sorry, Councillor Kingston, I feel that Councillor King is being rather bullyish to the clerk once again, and he really needs to tone his voice down.
Well, look, as far as I'm concerned, this item has been settled. We've understood what Councillor King is asking for. He will receive it. I hope we can now vote to receive these tables, even if we find them difficult to read and would like more detail on certain items. But I think we are doing our job in presenting these figures, which incidentally we didn't do until yesterday.
If I may, Chairman, if I may, in response, as I was named by Councillor Scott,
I think we should move on.
I think that it is the right of any councillor here to raise anything that you feel is legitimately concerning this council and spending of public money.
Yeah.
And I take Councillor Scott's remarks with contempt they deserve.
Well, I agree absolutely that each councillor has the right to ask anything he wants about the finances, and all the information that we have available, we will make available. And we will set that. Can I have somebody propose we now receive these figures, Councillor Ormford? Yeah, Councillor Scott. Thank you. All's okay? Abstentions?
I'm going, so I don't plan to receive it. Not next day, but.
So we turn to the external audit.
Thank you, Chairman. As I reported previously, we have received an interim report from PKF Little the auditors. They've now been in touch to say that they had to issue an interim report due to information that come to their attention during the course of a review from a member of the public. They must consider this information prior to completing the work on review of the AGAR. This was not an objection from the elector, and therefore they do not need to enter into formal correspondence with the member of the public regarding the issue. So I have now submitted the information requested to the auditors, and I await their final report and response.
Clerk's report is the next item.
Thank you, Chairman. The time has gone very quickly since September, and I just wanted to give everyone a quick update on some of the initiatives and events which are now underway. The Speed Watch initiative is going very well, and we've got 2 further town councillors and another resident who have volunteered, and just awaiting their practical training session to complete the process for being approved as Speed Watch volunteers. The first session on the 30th of September recorded and verified 7 vehicles travelling in excess of 35 miles an hour on Sea Road. The second session data is awaited and will ensure that the website is updated to reflect the results obtained. I'm pleased to confirm that the 16 new town council bins are now installed and are being emptied on a weekly basis. If anybody does notice any bins that need more than a weekly visit, please get in touch so that we're aware, and we hope that these will help to reduce the amount of litter in the high footfall areas. I've been proud to be involved in the preparations for the Remembrance Service and parades for this weekend, and the amount of people being involved in both those ventures is amazing, and it's the true meaning of community spirit. The beacon lighting event is now all organised, and I've been successful in obtaining funding from Kent County Council member schemes for £600. And I wanted to personally thank Councillor Dawson and Councillor Hurst for their support for this important occasion. We've also received support from the Westgate Heritage Centre in the sum of £200. And again, I'd like to thank Dr Crouch and the committee for sponsoring the event. And I'm pleased to report that the beacon has been tested and is fully operational. I've been involved in various discussions about the launch of Westgate and Bloom for next year. If anyone would like to be involved, please do get in touch. We hope that many community groups in the town will be happy to volunteer, and this will be something that everyone can be a part of. The Christmas tree for Lymington Road has been ordered, and this should be on site no later than the 30th of November to ensure that it's ready for the Christmas light switch on weekend. And lastly, it was a privilege to attend the unveiling of the War Memorial and Lymington Recreation Ground, and it's a permanent reminder of the history of the recreation ground and how it came to be for young people at the town. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I may add perhaps that the preparations for Remembrance Sunday seem to be progressing quite smoothly. And I would like to note that one of the meetings, the clerk had given such a convincing summary of all the actions that she had been taken and all the things that needed to be done have been done. One of the participants said everyone should have their Jill, and I said she's staying where she is. Councillor King.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Just to ask the clerk, is there been, I think, any progress? We were at one time thinking of approaching or trying to approach the station with regard to the flowers and the landscaping now. I don't know whether we've had any further progress on that. Will we actually approach the railway?
Yes, South Eastern Rail are engaging with us now. We do have a meeting this month,
Oh,
so I'll be able to provide everybody an update after that meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Clerk. Planning applications, we have two under item 10 and one under item 15. I wonder if we can take these together. The first one is in St Christian's Road, direction of a single-storey side extension, front porch and drop, and a new parking area. Does anybody have any comments to make on this? I haven't written down. Councillor Crawford.
This extension is on a corner, northwest facing corner, and it doesn't impact on any of the neighbours. There are no objections to the plans. And the skylights, the new skylights, the new windows in the roof are skylights, so there's no overlooking, and it's on a corner, so it seems perfectly acceptable.
Thank you very much for that. So there's no objection. On 73 St Mildred's Road, proposed to erect a balcony, replacement of window to French doors at the first floor rear elevation. Is this what they call a Juliet balcony?
No, I don't think so. That's just a little basket thing that goes on.
Oh, I see.
I think it's a tiny little thing. It's like a balcony, you can't really, it's got much room to stand on, you go over it.
Are there any particular comments on it, Councillor Crawford?
There are no objections to this again. It seems perfectly acceptable. Because of the nature of the balcony, which is a little bit more than a Juliet balcony, I feel that the neighbours would have complained. There would have been objection letters, but there haven't been any.
Good. Okay, can we move on to take item 15 on the addendum, which is the United Services Club installation of solar panels.
Chairman, I'm well interested in this, but on the plan, I recognise which was
Sorry, what did you say?
Did you want to explain anything?
I can't vote, I can't vote, but...
I know you can't vote, but you can't explain if you do.
Go ahead.
This application is for solar panels at on the roof of the United Services Club. It was discussed with their neighbours, and the neighbours were assured, that's us, that access would be left, because on the plans it shows the red boundary line on the roof, but it doesn't show the extent of the boundary line. It has missed out a large section in the top right-hand corner, which is blank, and actually is property of the neighbours, which requires access. This was discussed with the United Services Club, but according to the number of panels on the plan, no access has been left, which will impact on a neighbour. As I have a pecuniary interest, I can't really say any more.
Okay. Do we have a reaction from the CAAG at all?
No, Chair. No, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Scott?
So do we have no comment from them, or do we not, they haven't looked at this yet?
To my knowledge, they haven't, so I haven't heard anything at all from them.
Okay, well, I mean, if there is any problems here, and maybe we're not sort of privy to understanding what the issues in, perhaps then we could just ask for it to be called in if there's an issue with this, so that TDC can look at it, or our TDC council can look at it.
Councillor O'Connor?
I might be wrong, but I was discussing something about solar panels a little while ago, and did hear that if you have solar panels, it's very difficult to sell them out because you don't own the roof. Now, I don't know how true it is, but if that's so, how would that affect a building like that? Because apparently it's owned by the people that own the solar panels, so they in fact now own the roof, so to resell a property with solar panels can be a problem. But as I said, it's only hearsay, something I was discussing. I'm just...
Yes, Councillor Wolf.
You are right, Councillor O'Connell, and what you're saying. There's two ways of doing it, because I looked into it recently. You can have, with the solar panel company, money given to you up front, and yes, then they will own the roof. You don't need it. Or you can take it the other way, where you pay the solar panels to come up and you get the benefits. There are two schemes.
Okay, thank you. Well, I suggest that we do two things there. One is ask CAAG if they have any reactions, and unless we have a reply quickly, is to suggest that the Westgate councillors call the proposal in, or just it just calling in necessitates upon the procedure, if I remember rightly. Because it has, I think, I'm right in saying, perhaps Councillor King can
What would you want to call it in for? I mean, you'd have to give them grounds for why you wanted to call them in. What would the grounds be to call it in?
To give the conservation group time to comment on it.
So it's on conservation grounds?
Yes. Councillor Cornford, did you wish to? Councillor Scott?
Yeah, I think it's a really good idea having solar panels on the United Services Club. It's more environmentally friendly. However, it seems like what Councillor Cornford is suggesting is that the plan doesn't mimic what actually should be drawn up. So it's on conservation grounds, but also it looks like the plan doesn't seem to marry up with the plan of the building.
Okay. So that's noted. Things. Thank you. So we come now to item 11, Speedwatch funding opportunity, and I'm pleased to welcome Councillor Searle, who I think is doing the
Morning, after the evening check. My name's Rob Searle, I'm the Family Speedwatch coordinator. extremely close with Jill over the last few months. She's done a fantastic job. Just like to say thank you for the volunteers and the work that you've put into it so far. I think the way Speedwatch is working at the moment, it's going quite slowly. Finances are very tight on the police force, as you can imagine. We've got 2 Speedwatch machines for the whole of Thanet at the moment, so it's difficult to get machines to certain parishes and towns when they want to do their Speedwatch. So at the moment, the machines are around £4,400 plus VAT. But following a conversation I've had today with Kent County Council and Police Commissioner, they're happy to split costs with the councils at the moment, and it would be no more than £740 from each parish to get your own machine. So that's a saving of over £4,000. I think Westgate would benefit from the machine because you've got quite a few roads, quite a few issues with speed. Some of the roads that have been suggested we're not able to do because there's not enough line of sight and things like this, but looking over quite a few of the maps and things, we reckon we could cover around 62% of roads in Westgate and do safety checks and have the Speedwatch machines out there. So my proposal, my question to you is, would you guys as a council want your own Speedwatch machine, and B, whether you would be willing to pay up to £740 for that machine at the moment?
Okay, thank you. Could you just explain a bit more precisely just what is the machine and what to do?
The Speedwatch machine is, it's got a little camera in it. It flashes out people's speed and records data, so that once people get over a certain speed, it'll flash a smiley